Welcome. This is Micah Fairchild, Editor-in-Chief of HRLab.com, and we turn our attention today to Ultimate Software's UltiPro solution. Specifically, while some of our previous videos may have given us some broad coverage of this software suite, today we're going to be going a little bit deeper, evaluating where the application's strong points are and where we see deficiencies. To help guide this discussion from going too far afield, Chuck Schaefer, Vantive Media's CEO, will be joining us to provide some of his expert commentary. Hi, Chuck. How you doing?
Well, other than having to contend with some killer thunderstorms lately, things are looking pretty bright. How are things in your neck of the woods, Micah?
The weather's perfect. I got a great meal planned for later tonight, and I'm getting to talk about one of my favorite things, HR technology. So I'd say life is ultimately pretty good. I know, bad joke. But seriously, I really am excited about this discussion about Ultimate Solution. I mean, here's a company that's really pushing hard to be mentioned in the same conversation as Workday, Oracle, SAP, and I think largely they're succeeding, all the while racking up these awards left and right, like Constellation Research's Supernova Award for the successful application of emerging technologies, Forrester's Groundswell Honor for online customer community effectiveness. It's impressive.
Yeah, Ultimate has really been stepping up their game over the past 5 years or so. But I think it's easy for people to think that their progress has been built up overnight, which it certainly hasn't. After all, Ultimate has been in business since 1990, and not all of that time has been spent in the throes of the attention they've gotten of late. You may remember that back in 2002, they made the big decision to stop selling traditional licenses for their on-premise software and started moving entirely to the software as a service model, which at that time was fairly forward-thinking, but imposed some significant changes to their business model. More than just modernizing the IP to accommodate thin client browser-based cloud delivery, the company made substantive changes to their revenue model and began a no-turning-back journey to transition a large customer base of on-premise HCM applications to the cloud. To me, when people talk about how innovative Workday is or what SAP or Oracle are doing, I can't help but also recognize that most of the Tier 1 HCM software publishers didn't make the hard but smart choice that Ultimate did when Ultimate did.
No doubt. And I don't think that would have been possible if the company hadn't chosen to go the route of modifying the iterative Scrum framework to become a lean organization that attracts and retains top IT talent. And in my mind, that move by Ultimate CTO really buoyed the company and even garnered Forrester's distinction of being a partner player, which I'm sure, as you well know, means they've reached the pinnacle of being a reliable, trusted, and strategic technology partner. What I think the major downfall, though, for Ultimate is the fact that they're almost wholly North American, which is really surprising given how well they perform in the U.S.
You're absolutely right. I do think they're on the right track by getting that direct feed into a single vendor for European payroll, but even this strategy has its limitations. After all, the emerging markets like South America, India, China, and the Middle East are really where growth is happening right now, and where Ultimate could get some leverage if it better built out its offering to be more competitive in terms of global capabilities.
That's true. And speaking of that offering, at least the UltiPro solution, I think they've got some work that needs to happen on that as well. Take, for example, their user interface. We're in the middle of a major upheaval in how employees interact with workplace technologies, and Ultimate really needs to be working on improving that user experience if they want to stay in the game. Granted, the UltiPro suite is easy to use, it's straightforward, but it's nowhere near applications like Workday. Not only that, but mobile functionality, which is, of course, another imperative of the consumerized workforce, for that suite is really falling behind the times. Yes, they've got an iPhone app, but those capabilities that come with that are really not up to par with the rest of the HR software industry.
I wouldn't disagree, but I suppose my main concern with the UltiPro solution right now is that in our interactions with customers, it doesn't appear that Ultimate is seriously listening to their customers who have time and again requested that Ultimate unbundle their services so that unnecessary functionality is not being paid for. It's actually created a rather odd dichotomy for me because Ultimate's online customer community is otherwise pretty impressive and has even garnered several analyst accolades for leveraging particularly effective social and customer technologies.
That's a good point. I agree. It's especially odd given their 3 to 4% customer churn, which obviously means their clients are satisfied. Of course, as they continue this transition from the multi-year shelf life that their old solution had to the annual renewals of SaaS, that opportunity for churn certainly increases. But with 3-tier 24/7 SCP certified product support through named service representatives, as well as a website specifically to get dedicated to that support, I think for now they've got some time to iron out some of these finer details.
Well, sometime maybe, but not a lot of time. The pace of innovation in this HCM software industry is getting to the point that companies who aren't delivering functionality even before it's asked for are going to fall behind competitors who are pushing the innovation envelope, and there are several. I would agree with you, though, that Ultimate's successes of late have afforded them a small cushion to really dig into some serious research and development. You know, for example, aside from what you mentioned about user experience and mobile functionality, I'm also seeing that improvement needs to be made in areas such as self-service, or the fact that the company is lacking in SaaS software customization tools, such as platform as a service toolkits, or an online ecosystem of third-party pre-integrated apps, the latter two of which can really help customers who are in a bad spot if particular feature sets are missing or software modification is required.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Clearly, while Ultimate is rightfully basking in some recent successes, they got a ways to go functionality-wise. Anything else?
Actually, yes. Just a few things. One, while we've been quite candid about Ultimate's software, in no way should that turn people off from this solution. I think for far too many people, when an HR technology offering that's not a recognized industry leader is given points that need improvement, that somehow suggests the solution is untenable. I'm sure you would agree with me that Ultimate would make a solid solution for many companies. They're just not perfect, and no HCM software competitor is either. Second, and sort of jumping off from the first point, I think it's important to remember that marquee names like SAP, Oracle, Infor, Sage, and even Workday really have no bearing on whether or not an application will work for any particular organization's specific business objectives, unique needs, and internal constraints such as budget or resources. Find out through concerted efforts and needs assessments what functionalities are truly required. And at all costs, avoid the trap of falling in love with a software solution's capabilities that in reality will not be used. As HR pundit William Tincup says, a feature is not a feature unless your users actually use that feature. That's wise advice. From over 2 decades of creating and deploying HCM applications, I've seen time and again a very common and repeated error whereby buyers make HCM software purchase decisions based on features they didn't know existed or seemed super cool, and then over the course of the application's lifetime, never implement or utilize those features. The onus in an HCM software selection project is on the buyer, which makes it critical for buyers to do their homework, prioritize their specific needs, and objectively compare them against a qualified shortlist of vendor solutions.
Excellent. Thanks, Chuck. And since we've come down to the wire again on our time, I'd like to say thank you as well to everyone that joined us for this conversation about Ultimate Software today. Be sure to join us next time. We'll be continuing our journey through the HCM landscape, evaluating the top solutions, and examining the intersection between HCM strategies, processes, and technology.